Dolphins fans, what's going on? It's Ben Morgan, Fins Up Network. The new league year is officially here. Free agency it's already kind of started with the legal tampering period. However, the official new league year has arrived today. So all these free agents that we saw getting all these deals, agreeing to these deals, the trades and everything can officially go through starting today. So we've already seen a couple of moves made official by the Miami Dolphins. They just announced the Jalen Ramsey deal and everything went official. So I'm going to get to today's news. Obviously, that's what we're here to do. One thing that I do want to touch on and clear up before I get started on today's news. In yesterday's video, I did say that the Miami Dolphins had verbally agreed with Jordan Poyer that he was set to become a Miami Dolphin. As we talked about in that video, things happen, contracts can break off. Everything in free agency is very fluid. So hindsight, probably shouldn't have even put that in the video. I am going to own up and apologize that. I could try to excuse my way out of this. However, I was literally just trying to share the news that was given to me that the Dolphins and Poyer had the interest. They were verbally connected to each other. They had to work out the contract details. It fell apart. So like we keep the Dolphins responsible on when they don't play a good game or if a player has a bad game, I got to own up to my mistakes as well. So that's what I'm doing right here to kick off this video. I apologize for the fake news culture, although that wasn't my intention. I hope that the loyal viewers, those who have been with us from the beginning, know that that was not my intentions. I've probably spent too much time covering this already. However, I do want to apologize for putting that out there and for giving a sense of false hope, bad information, whatever you want to call it. I apologize. With that, let's talk about what the Dolphins pivoted to because, yes, Jordan Poyer fell through. Didn't work. He re-signed with the Buffalo Bills. Dolphins went on to the next option at safety. And we had seen through some reports that the Dolphins were also kind of linked to DeShon Elliott as well. And essentially, kind of that fallback plan to Poyer if he were to land somewhere else. Poyer goes to the Bills. The Dolphins end up signing DeShon Elliott, 1-year deal, $1.77 million. And coincidentally enough, the guy he's likely going to be kind of splitting time with, competing with time with, Brandon Jones, well, they were teammates together at the University of Texas. So kind of a cool story for them. He spent his first 3 years in the NFL with the Baltimore Ravens. Last year was spent with the Detroit Lions. He started 13 of the 14 games that he played. But if you look at the signing, I would kind of go out and say that it sort of completes the safety position. You got Javon Holland, you got Brandon Jones, now you have Elliott, you had Verone McKinley, who showed flashes last year as a UDFA. Now, we could see bodies added, camp bodies and everything. Obviously, our roster goes significantly higher before all the cuts are. But as of now, it appears that these are the safeties. These are the guys that Vic Fangio will get to work with in 2023. I got some research on him, 66.5 PFF grade in 2022. That was good enough for 39th among the 75 safeties that qualified. He did go through a little bit of adversity towards the kind of first quarter-ish of last year's season with Detroit. However, he bounced back pretty well from that, kind of from some rocky times. And then he ended up kind of getting hurt at the end of the season. But he kind of bounced back well. He ended up being a pretty solidified piece in that defense. Ended up finishing second on the team in total tackles, despite missing those games. And actually, once he got hurt and he was out of that secondary, we saw that Lions secondary struggle towards the end of the season as well. But regardless, you Dolphins, you got your veteran safety, well-versed in a little bit of everything, can get in the box, can play the run, can cover it as well. A fairly sure tackler. He had a couple of tackling issues last year with the Lions, but more so than anything can do a little bit of everything he's asked to do. So it's a pivot for the Dolphins. However, we did get DeShon Elliott. All right, this one came as a little bit of a surprise to me. I don't have the financials yet, but the Dolphins re-signed Myles Gaskin to a 1-year deal. It's funny, we went into this kind of free agency window with no running back signed to the active roster, and now we have the exact same 4 that we ended up with last year: Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, Savon Ahmed, and now Myles Gaskin. And like I said, this one shocks me. Of all the moves we've seen so far, this one shocks me because we always heard the issues. He's not a great scheme fit. in this system. And he was often a scratch on game day for the Dolphins, despite not always being like out or questionable on the injury report. So it just didn't seem like a great fit. He had 10 carries for 26 yards all of last season. So obviously not a huge part of the offense by any stretch of the imagination. But at the end of the day, you look at this signing and you say, you know what? Well, we need guys for camp. He's likely going to be, if you think about camp position battles, he's going to be in a battle for one of those final roster spots. It's likely nothing more than that. But regardless, Myles Gaskin rejoins the Miami Dolphins on a one-year deal. And then literally right before I started recording this, I got two more signings that came in. So I wanted to include them both, even though I don't have quite as much. But we saw the Dolphins re-sign one of their offensive linemen, and it was Kendall Lamb. And this one I was kind of cheering for, and it's in a roundabout, in a weird way, I should say. He came in, he got brought on to the squad midway through last year, towards the end of last year. Dolphins offensive line was going through it, all the injury issues that they had. Kendall Lamb came in and was like, well, guess what? You haven't been here for very long, but you are starting. And then he ends up getting hurt as well. So he got his own kind of taste of the injury bug last year as well. Granted, it was a very, very tiny, small sample size. At least Kendall Lamb showed something. He flashed as much as an offensive lineman can, but he looked the part. And granted, like I said, very, very, very small sample size. He's not a guy that's probably like a plug and play option by any stretch of the imagination, but he's a guy that can come in and compete and hopefully be a body on a position where we absolutely need bodies, because as of right now, he's the one that's been signed. We didn't get McGlinchey. We didn't get Jawan Taylor. We haven't touched like Dalton Reisner or anyone yet. There's a lot of people out there that the Dolphins haven't been spending for, paying up for. They went bargain bin shopping here. They brought back one of their own. They got Kendall Lamb. Still interested to see where they go at the position. However, like we said about Gaskin, Kendall Lamb, a guy from last year, brought back into the mix. And the last one that I got, Eric Saubert, tight end. I really don't have all that much, and I don't want to feed you with BS. Like I said, this one came in right as I started the video, so I wanted to get this out before I had to run here. I know he's a bit more into the blocking side of things, but like I said, I'm not going to feed you with BS. I can add a little bit more in the next video. But the Miami Dolphins did sign Eric Saubert today, tight end. We do have, I think it's 3 tight ends now on the roster with Durham Smythe, Tanner Connor. And now we've added another one via free agency. But those are the moves for so far today, Dolphins fans, I should say, on Wednesday here. But I'm going to take one more second. I do want to apologize. It's not my game. It's not my scheme or my strategy to be spreading news that isn't true. I took the tip. I ran with it. And like I said, free agency, things fall apart, and I'm not trying to shoulder the blame anywhere. I'm not trying to use that as a crutch. Things happen, and I got it smeared on my face. It is what it is, and I'm here and I'm owning it. So I thank you to all those who continue to follow and everything. Like I said, that's not my jam. It's not why I'm here. I'm not here to spread fake news. As you can see with the tight end news right there, I'm not trying to feed you bullshit. That's not what I'm here to do. So I'll be back with the next signings, Dolphins fans. And until that video, fins up.